What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Real Ones Kings podcast. That man who is next to me virtually, actually smiling and waving. He's jovial today. That is Cam Underwood. He's managing editor, State of the U. Go check out all the great work at StateofTheU.com. It is the best place to find your Miami Hurricanes coverage, open 24/7, 365, and free. And you can follow Cam on Twitter at Underwood Sports. I'm Brian the Beast London. Follow me at Miami Radio Beast. And Cam, we are recording this on Wednesday, March 4th, but it will be released on Thursday, March 5th, which means happy 305 day to those who celebrate. How about that? We got a lot going on in this episode. We'll get to some recruiting. We'll get to the combine, but we'll start with the news that broke yesterday, Tuesday, March 3rd, and it looks like the Miami Hurricanes have found their tight ends coach.
Yep.
Now, it comes from a place you wouldn't expect it to come from, and there may be some doubters, but I am not one of them. Let's see how Cam feels. He is a guy by the name of Mike Viti. He is currently the offensive line coach at Army. Now, you're saying to yourself, Army, offensive line coach. Well, let's just get into this for a second. Cam, he played fullback at Army, and then after that, you know, when you go to the United States Military Academy, you gotta serve. So he did. He was a platoon leader in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So evidently he's got some leadership qualities. And then he came back. He served in a couple different roles at Army and fullbacks coach, and now he's the offensive line coach. He actually, I think, was like the offensive line coach of the year in 2024, according to footballscoop.com. He's won awards. He is one of the better assistants in the country. He undoubtedly is tough as nails, and he has Mario Guy written all over him. What say you about this hire?
Yeah, I know it's off the radar, but like we said, we're not necessarily categorical on our knowledge of every single assistant in the country. Mike Viti was the associate head coach at Army. He was the offensive line coach. They won the Moore Award for the best offensive line in the country in 2024. So not this past season, but the season before. That was their work. Played there. You know, when you go there, you are when you graduate, you're a commissioned officer. Shout out to my cousin Arthur, who went there and graduated, and he served also overseas several times. Did my cousin, and maybe because of that familial tie, like I'm higher on this than others. But like, even if you take all of that stuff out about like, Captain Mike Viti and like, the pictures of him over, serving our country, and in these yada 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 yada. The man knows football. Like, oh yeah, period. So when you coach the best offensive line in the country, football, when you're a position coach who gets elevated up to associate head coach, football. And to me, and I said this in one of my group chats, Mike Viti is pretty much military Mario in my
Yes.
So an offensive line coach, tough guy, and then he goes and coaches tight ends. And I know you're like, but they're not the same position. Go look at Mario Cristobal's work history. Coach tight ends after he did offensive line. And so like, it's very similar. And, Mario we've talked about his exhaustive interview process. This was not a fly by night, nepotism hire or anything like that. This was completely earned and desired by Mike Viti, because he had to reach out and say, hey, if you weren't looking over here, holla at me right quick. You know what I mean? So I'm with it, and the tight ends have to block in this offense. Transition. And you can learn to coach these other things. And we've seen with Mario and other offensive line coaches or other coaches in general who coach multiple positions. So and he played fullback. He's coached these different positions. I'm good with it. Now, the thing that's going to come up for a lot of people, and I understand and agree, what's up on that recruiting? Because it's not the same at the the military academy in West Point, New York. It is not the same as recruiting to Miami under Mario. But Mike Viti he had to have done something to convince Mario for that.
Here's how I would answer that aspect. Again, we talked about this last show.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be such a cap and a limit on who you could send on the road to recruit and who could be in front of recruits that it really you had to really be smart with your hires in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, you can get so many different people in front of the recruits. You can get a Stephen Field in front of the recruits who coach tight ends here and is also one of the major dudes that brings in players for us, right? Like Mike Rumpf, right? National champion, keeps getting honored at the University of Miami in 8 billion different ways.
Yep.
You get him in front of recruits. Like there's so many people you get in front of recruits these days that it doesn't necessarily mean that every assistant has to be the best recruiter. But here's what I'll also say on that front. You go get me a football player, right? Which we can make the comparisons about the militaristic-like qualities of football and how it's played and coached and all of that stuff. You go get me a football player and put him in front of a dude that was a platoon leader in Afghanistan and tell me there won't be a connection there about how those things translate to each other. I'm not worried about it at all. And I think you brought up the great point, which is Mario did this, right? He went from offensive line coach to tight ends coach. And the thing about the tight ends position is back when practice was open back in my day, but even if you watch drills out there, the tight ends will run from offensive line drills because they're blocking, and then they'll also go do wide receiver drills off the machines and all that stuff. Like they're coached by multiple people. They're coached by the offensive line coach. They're coached by the wide receivers coach, and obviously their tight ends coach. They're getting a little bit of all of it. So I'm not worried at all. At this point, I'm willing to give Mario the benefit of the doubt. And listen, they took time with this hire. It wasn't like they just had a position open and they went and grabbed the first guy that was available. Like they did their due diligence, both with the running backs hire and with this tight ends hire. And we're still waiting for one more position to be filled. I think I'm okay with it. I like it a lot. And you know what? If Mike Viti wants to, he's proven what he can prove at Army, and that was his alma mater, and he served our country and all of that. And maybe he wants to kind of go spread his wings. Bigger programs in college football. Come on, big boy. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did a quick Google while you were talking. Doug Marrone, longtime coach at the college and the NFL level. He coached offensive line and tight ends. You have Mike Viti. You have Richard Owens, who's coached O-line in 3 places and is now going to be Alabama's tight ends coach. So Alabama just did the same thing. The O-line coach at Ohio State previously coached tight ends in 2 other places. Louis Adazio, the son of Steve Adazio, and there's several others and Mario Cristobal and this is a transition that people have made, and it speaks to the fact of what I've said previously of Miami will go and get somebody up off of their good job. Like this man went to West Point. He went back there and worked at West Point. My cousin and his wife, they've been professors there. It's a system. This is what they do. They go and then they serve. And then when they come out, then a lot of people go back and work at West Point. He's been there for a long time and been successful to the highest level that he could be as an offensive line coach and everything. No, they're not winning national championships, but he's been very, very impactful. And he says, cool, I'm going to take this show on the road. Sign me up. Let's go.
By the way, just as note, if you're looking for a career trajectory, a pretty good head coach that might have come through the University of Miami that served in the Army was Howard Schnellenberger.
Hello.
Just throwing that out there. All right, so listen, we'll see how this all plays out, and I can't wait to hear from Mike Viti when it's official. By the way, I have a bone to pick with 8 billion different people on the cyberwebs that cover the Canes and may have a site or a blog or this or that or whatever they do these days. Listen, nothing is official until the school says it publicly. You can know that a hire has happened, but that is not official. Just because you know that so-and-so has been hired, that doesn't make it official. What makes it official is when the school makes it official. Then you can say it is official. Now, you could say, hey, so-and-so will be the next, I am confident, so-and-so will be the next blank coach at the University of Miami. But that doesn't make it official because, Chuck Jones says it's official. No, it has to come from the University of Miami to make it official. Okay, I'm going to get off my high horse now.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, let's move along. It's a big recruiting time. Yeah. We just talked about it being 305 day. It's a big recruiting time. There is a laundry list, a huge list of recruits that are coming into town. Cam, you follow this stuff more than I do. Give me some notable names. Who do I have to be on the lookout for? What is happening?
Well, first of all, if you expected anything different from a Mario Cristobal-led operation, I don't know what to tell you. Miami has consistently gotten elite prospects on campus. And you're even going back to the Mark Richt days of Paradise Camp, where the first and second Paradise Camp had more talent on hand than Nike's The Opening Finals in Oregon. It was the event.
I remember that, and I remember being like, are you kidding me?
It was stupid. It was, if you took Florida's Friday Night Lights and Georgia's Dog Day and Texas's, if you put all those together, it didn't compare to what Miami had gotten on campus. We didn't get everybody, but we got a lot of those dudes. So as I just say that to say, we're not new to this, we're true to this, even with previous coaches. So coming up tomorrow, I do believe, well, today, probably when this releases, Miami's having a huge visit weekend or visit day. Among the players visiting, Myson Johnson-Cook. This is a big running back who's bounced around. He lived in Illinois, played there for a year, outside of Chicago, or Decatur, I believe. Then he moved to DeSoto, Texas, outside of the Dallas area, and now has moved back to East St. Louis, Illinois, the same town as Jeff Thomas was from. 6'3", 222 pounds, who runs a 10.3 in the 100. Wind aided, but he's been as low as 10.42 wind legal in the 100. That's flying, in case you guys didn't know. That's ridiculous speed. And at a major, big size. And I was listening to D-Money and Pete's podcast, over on Kane's Insight, and it was an interesting thing that D-Money shared. He said, hey, one of the things that D-Money had heard that Myson Johnson-Cook had said when asked about the teams recruiting him was, Miami is in a good spot, or I'm interested about Miami because they have a running back of my size. And you can see how they would use me with these other teams, because pretty much everybody in America is recruiting a guy who's 6'3", 220 and runs 10.3. So insert team here, the list is long. But a lot of those places don't have running backs, big physical stature running backs, tall, big, hulking guys. And so it's a little bit of projection of, well, how would you use me, or what would you do, or da-da-da. When I look at Miami, you want to see how they use a running back who's 6'3", 225? Go turn on the film, because we got one of those already. So that connection right there, pretty awesome. And Myson Johnson-Cook, his ranking has really exploded after his year at DeSoto and then back here at East St. Louis. So he'll be down. 5-star linebacker Caden Henderson from Tampa Jesuit, a top target for Corey Heatherman and team. He'll be down. Davin Davidson from Sarasota Cardinal Mooney at quarterback. This is a kid who's also, like Myson Johnson-Cook, seen his recruiting profile really skyrocket after last season. This is a huge quarterback prospect. And I mean that literally 6'7", 220 pounds. State champion from Cardinal Mooney. And he's lit. I mean, he played his last season very, very well, led this team to a state championship. And he has just been absolutely nuclear on the recruiting trail, whether it's a Elite 11 regional, whether it's a 7-on-7, wherever he's going, Davin Davidson is turning heads. And so Miami is in recruiting him. Elijah Kimball from Buffalo, New York, is another blue chip running back who will be down, 4-star kid from out of state, but we've gone out of state several times. Julius Jones, number 81, from St. Thomas Aquinas. This is a kid who, if you watch, locally, he was been making plays since like his freshman, sophomore year, wearing number 81. Julius Jones Jr. He is a Notre Dame legacy. His father of the same name played at Notre Dame, so that'll be tough. And he goes to Aquinas, so But hey, Miami recruits Aquinas well, so there's that. Amari Stevens is a Miami commit. He's a high 4-star kid. There's other 4-stars who are already committed. Jamar Thompson from West Boca, teammate of last year's running back signee. He'll be down. He's a major target. Zayden Gamble, 4-star safety from Aquinas in this class, also will be down. And there's several others. Andre Hippolyte is a rising kid, I believe, North Miami Beach, who's really he has a very strong athletic profile. I saw Gabby was talking about him earlier in the offseason, and now there's been plenty of Miami's offered and plenty of other national brand teams have started to offer him as well. And those are the 27s. In the 28s, well, maybe 27, we don't know if he's going to reclassify. 5-star quarterback Neiman Lawrence. He's been a known name since 6th grade, basically, playing up, over his grade. When he was at Ransom Everglades, he's playing varsity as an 8th grader because it's the earliest you can do it. He would have been doing it earlier than that if able. Don't know if he's going to reclassify to 27 or not. And that'll be very interesting between David Davidson, the Alabama kid, Seaborn, who committed to Alabama that Miami's been chasing, the best thing since sliced bread, and others. It'll be very interesting to see if Neiman Lawrence reclassifies up into 27. What does that do to the pecking order? With the way that Davin Davidson's projection or progression is going, it would be a conversation. Do you take 1? Do you take 2 with Neiman Lawrence? But I think the Neiman Lawrence is the number 1 on your list, regardless of what year it is. If it's 28, cool. If it's 27, also cool. Amir Sears.
Wait, just real quick. Neiman Lawrence, is he at Heritage now?
Yes, I believe.
Because I know he's moved around.
Yeah, he bounced around. He was at Ransom, then he was at the West, and then there's just a regime change at the West, so everybody is departing from there.
Okay. Yeah, because that's okay. I'm just putting 2 and 2 together. That kid seems to be what's the word I'm looking for? Lots of technique for that kid. Lots of tools.
Oh yeah. He can do it all. Amir Sears was a kid who was at West Broward with Joshua Moore. Now he's at Columbus. Yep. So, he's a 5-star in the 2028 class. There's, several other players from that. So that's just a smattering of the blue chip players who will be on campus for this event. So, just really taking advantage of being here close to everybody. It would not surprise me if Nick Lanier was on campus also. I know that he was not necessarily publicized as or listed as a guy, but I fully expect him to be there. To me, it's a matter of time with Nick Lanier, 4-star, 5-star wide receiver, was at the West. Now he transferred to Central Carroll City, not Central, Carroll City. I just think it's about a matter of time till he commits to Miami. And I had somebody ask me about Nick Lanier the other day because, he released his top 5 edit or whatever Hayes Fawcett did. To me, he's like a Rueben Bain. I'll believe that Nick Lanier is not a Miami Hurricane and he's playing somewhere else when I see him during a season on another or wearing another jersey and making a play. I think that this is just a matter of time for him. But I'm not going to take anything for granted. We're still going to pursue him heavily. And he's a super duper talented player. So that's just some of the blue chips talent that will be on campus this week. And Miami looks to make moves there. And then also, if we're going to push for a top 5 or number 1 overall class, the firm expectation would be not 1, not 2, but several major recruiting flips through the course of this cycle if we're going to have that level of group, join this team.
Mario and the staff love to make those flips. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, we're gonna go from the players that are incoming to the players that are outgoing. We've got to cover the combine that just happened. We'll do that on the other side. You're listening and watching the Real Ones Canes podcast. Back here on the Real Ones Canes podcast. He is Cam Underwood, managing editor, State of the U. Go check out StateofTheU.com. Your best Canes coverage, and it's free, and it's open 24/7, 365. You can follow Cam on Twitter at Underwood Sports. What did I do?
Why are you talking so slow?
I'm just doing a thing.
Sorry.
Just
okay,
doing
my bad.
thing.
Continue. My bad. Continue.
Sorry,
This is Brian the Beast London. He's our lovely host over here. His shiny dome, like myself, just recently shaved and everything. From his palatial estate down there in hold on. It is Jesus, the Cowboys.
Yes, you've got it. You've got the right
Cowboys
locale.
Cooper City, there we go. Just took me a second there. Yeah, our lovely host from Miami. You can follow him on Twitter at Miami Radio Beast. He's been here the whole time. So yeah, we are going to move on. Have a rest of this good show.
Oh, I thought you were going to take us into the combine, but we'll do that. Okay, let's just attack the topic du jour or topic of the week, because we'll go over everybody that worked out in the combine and the highs, the lows, the good stories, the bad stories, all that stuff. But Rueben Bain's arms. If I hear about him anymore, I think I may throw my computer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, okay, I've never even like thought about the arm length as it relates to like my own personal fandom of football, but here we are.
Look, it is what it is. It is like measurables matter, so I'm not going to say that it's completely off the board. What I will say is it was very interesting to me. So Rueben Bain's arms measured in at 30 inches and 7/8, so short, like not 31 inches long.
Although I there's some back and forth on the exact.
Right. But that's what I was going to say is I saw several national writers who said, it depends on like how you're measuring and like who the tech is or whatever. But I forget which NFL writer it was, but it was like there were multiple teams who had Rueben Bain's arms over 31 and a half. So a full, was that 5/8 longer than the official measurement said. Multiple teams had that. So I don't know where you get 5/8 extra on an arm length or whatever, but when I saw that put out immediately after his measurements came through, I was like, first of all, that's a great propaganda job by Rosenhaus Sports and whomever, told this information to the reporter, in support of Rueben Bain. But, but then having multiple other reporters like co-sign and, and reshare that, be like, yep, absolutely. That's true. Like they get it wrong and like teams have their own. So I'm like, okay, so what are we talking about? And then it was funny to me. You talk about, Rueben Bain's arms being this T-Rex, and then Cassius Howell from A&M, his measured in at almost 31 even. I think it was 30 and 1/8. I'm like, so, 5/8 to 3/4 shorter than Ruben's even, but hey, whatever. But if that is a thing that's going to stop a team from drafting Rueben Bain, then they didn't deserve to have Rueben Bain. And I'm sure that there are plenty of teams who are a little bit further down the draft order who said, yes, be stupid, focus on that, and not the destroyer of worlds who throws people asunder with, ease. Like, nah. But it is what it is. I'm not going to say that he has the longest arms in the world, because he doesn't. But I don't think that that's a thing that will really majorly impact him. Also, a thing that I've been saying, I think Rueben Bain at the NFL level is a little bit of a tweener, and he would be a perfect 3-4 end. That 5 tech, so he can play inside, outside, flex. Like, he's not a pure set him on the edge and go get it guy. He's a move him around a little bit, dude. And I think that people are starting to come around on that. But it's a thing I've been saying and thinking for a good long time, guys.
No, I mean, you look at Rueben Bain, you don't see Jason Taylor, right? It's a different body type that, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can see that he's going to be a tweener in the NFL. Put on the damn tape. Like, just put on the damn tape and watch. Like, I get it. Yeah. I understand what people are saying. And, well, there's never been a guy with this short of arms that's had double-digit sacks in the NFL ever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. Whatever you want to say, put on the tape. He went up against, I mean, every day in practice, he went up against NFL offensive linemen. But meanwhile, the guys he went up against in college at a high level, especially through the playoff, going against guys that are going to play at the next level, like,
Look, I agree with you, and something that I saw as pointed out to me by a good friend of mine who's very connected in NFL circles. He was like, yeah. So I was studying offensive linemen from this draft, and I was going through the tackles who played in the playoff. And you know what they all had in common? And I'm like, I have no idea where you're going with this. I was like, yeah. I started watching them, and then halfway through, I had to remind myself that this wasn't a Rueben Bain highlight tape, because he showed up on every single one of them, just wrecking shop. And I'm supposed to be looking at the tackles, but on every single one who played in the playoff, I started by watching the tackle and ended up watching Rueben Bain, because it was basically a Rueben Bain highlight tape on somebody else's highlight. Guys, what are we doing? We're overthinking this. I think that there is a mismatch in terms of like usage and deployment. Like, if you want him to be one thing, he's maybe not that thing, but what he is incredible at the things that he can do. So stop trying to put him over here and do this other thing and let him do the things that he does. But yeah, it was a major storyline, so we had to talk about it.
All right, let's stay on defense for the combine. We'll go with Rueben Bain's partner in crime, Akeem Mesidor. Did okay measurably. I think he ran a little bit slower than I thought he was going to run. Mm-hmm. And it seems like he'll be a mid-round pick. That's the projections right now. Maybe.
I don't know, man. There's been people who have really been putting Mesidor into the first round. I've seen several post combine, well, pre and post combine mock drafts that have him in the first round. I've seen him linked to my Detroit Lions at 17 more than a little bit.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean,
yeah.
Most of the projections I saw had him like in the 3rd or 4th round.
I think that he's another guy who there's going to be a disparity of thought, especially because he's 25 going on 26. Like, we do have some older prospects in this class, Keontae Scott being another,
right.
And things like that. And, the injury history, but I think, when you turn on the tape and you look at the measurables and all the things, he profiles as someone that, like, especially with teams who need edge rushers, need guys to go get after the quarterback, go get after the ball, could easily elevate. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple mocks with Mesidor in the 2nd. I haven't seen any with him in the 3rd, but I've seen probably 60% of them have him in the 1st. And of those 60%, probably like half, I would say have my Lions at 17 targeting him, which not necessarily against. So I think that he's in a strong position. I think he will also want to have, a nice pro day as well. And I'm sure that he is a great interview, because why would he not be?
Oh, yeah, of course. Let's move over to Wesley Bissainthe. It looks like he had a pretty good combine. Looks like his stock is going up. Yep. Looks like, he could go in the 2nd round, maybe the 3rd round, but he did good for himself in Indianapolis.
I think 2nd or 3rd is maybe a little bit rich for him, but he's a guy who definitely has put himself on some radars for the NFL, and he tested pretty well. He's a big, strong kid and everything too. So he measured, like, his measurables were very strong. So yeah, very, very good showing for him. Very excited about that to see where he can end up.
All right, defensive back Keontae Scott. You just talked about him. Yeah. Man, he was everything to the Miami defense. I'm not sure what his place will be in the NFL. Maybe corner, maybe special teams demon. We shall see. What about Keontae?
I mean, remember, nickel, cornerback, safety, whatever that is a starting position in the NFL. And he brings that value, whether you want to cross-train him as a corner or a safety or whatever. But that nickel defender is a starting position, and he's probably the best in this class, in my opinion, or at least second at that position. So, yeah, he did well for himself and everything. And this is another guy we're going to have to turn on the tape, and you're going to talk to him and be wowed by his mentality. He's just very dialed in and everything. And, they asked him, he went to JUCO, and he was just like, that made me the dog I am now, because, like, you got to be. It is mercenary central at JUCO because everybody's there trying to get out, and you got to work hard, and you got to be about that life, and yada, yada, yada. And, so he talked about that. But, yeah, this is a guy who I would say maybe third, fourth, but, in the right situation, I've seen a couple mock drafts of him sneaking into the mid-late second round. But, again, he's a guy who can come in and start at that nickel position. So don't underestimate him.
Safety Jacoby Thomas, a guy that definitely is going to bring some good depth to an NFL team at the safety position. Yeah,
absolutely. He tested really well. Very excited for him to continue his progression and everything. Maybe a little bit lower than Keontae in terms of his outlook, but he's a bigger physical player. So if you're looking for that archetype, might fit. But yeah, another guy like Wesley who showed really well during the drills, and that should help him moving forward.
All right, I think that's all of the guys on defense, right? Everyone else is offense. Yeah, let's start with. Let's start with arguably the monster of the draft is Francis Mauigoa. He did nothing but help himself, and he was already helped. He is the creme de la creme at the tackle position.
Yeah, I think he's tackle one in this class. I've seen him in post mocks or post draft or combine mocks going as high as third. This is a guy who, I mean, I don't know why like people are so. I think they were just trying to continue a narrative. So like people were talking about Rueben Bain's arm length. So then they were talking about Mauigoa's arm length. His arm length is fine. I mean, it's like the 20th percentile or 25th percentile. So it's not the longest for a tackle by any stretch, but like he's also 6'5.5", 331 pounds, light on his feet. He did well in the change of direction drills and all those different kind of things that he did. So what are we talking about here? It seemed like, I don't know, like you're just going to the bar trying to pick up people that you're attracted to by negging them. You know what I mean? Just like, oh yeah, I mean, that's cool, but like who drinks that? Or like, oh well, yeah, but like why would you wear that color combination? Where you're just like, huh? Like that's your in. So it just seemed like people were trying to neg Mauigoa. I think that was very foolhardy. I think that's very stupid. I think he's tackle one. And though he can play guard, he's a tackle. The mythology of the blind side left tackle being the only thing that matters in football is asinine, and we see this with teams all over the time. If you have a bad tackle, you have a bad line. It's like the strength of the chain. You're like, it's only as strong as its weakest link, guys. So you have to have, whether it's right or left, and people want to say, oh, well, he's only a right tackle. That's not like you're not putting me down by saying that. Like Penei Sewell for the Lions, I hate to keep bringing up my team, plays right tackle and had the largest contract in the league and was voted as the best blocker in the league when he got his extension last year. What are we talking about? Like right tackle is tackle, and you have to have them because teams are going and getting edge rushers. Francis Mauigoa is an incredible one. Somebody in the top 5 is going to draft him and be very, very happy with that pick.
His line mate, his other tackle mate, Markel Bell, did nothing but improve his draft stock and wowed people on the television, wowed people in attendance at Indianapolis, wowed everyone everywhere.
I tried to tell y'all after Cam Ward's pro day last year, when during the changeover between drills, every team sent multiple people over to go talk to this tree of a person, talking about, why are you not working out today? It's like, because I'm coming back to college. I'm not a pro draft prospect. I said, get his name, get his information. Then he goes, plays a great season for Miami. Then he measures in at 6'9.25", the third tallest player at the combine since 2003, and 348 pounds or something like that, running
346, I think.
Yeah, 346 is 6'9.25", I mean, huge hands. There's no question about his arm length. So,
No.
hey, and yeah, this is a guy who, look, before the season, I said that he had a chance to be a first-round pick. I don't think that he's going to elevate that high. But someone's going to take him in the second, maybe third, but probably second round, because he's not even a diamond in the rough. He's just like it's not a lump of coal that you have to like put pressure on. He's just like a raw diamond that you have to shape into the, shape of the diamond that you want, like whatever cut it is that you want. You know what I mean? Like, this is a guy who he's massive and he plays really well and he's light on his feet and he's going to be a steal for somebody.
Think about the progress he made in a year.
Yes.
Right. So take that and now put him with like 24/7 NFL coaching and what he could do and the jump that he can make at the next level.
The player that I compared him to in terms of growth, not necessarily in terms of like performance, but the development that they would hope to see was Jordan Mailata for the Eagles, right? The New Zealand or Australian guy who's 6'8", 360, former rugby player, comes over basically on the practice squad and just working for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden he's their starting left tackle. But there's a guy who basically never played football. Now you're going to get somebody with similar size and potential in a Markel Bell. There's going to be somebody who's going to draft him and say, wait, even if you need a red shirt at the NFL level, right? Even if you're on the active but you're not playing, this is our starting left tackle in 28. So, or whatever, enjoy. But yeah, he did really well for himself as well.
Inez Cooper, another one of their line mates. He'll be inside lineman at the next level. You know what? I didn't see a bunch about Inez Cooper's performance at the combine, but I guess no news is good news, maybe.
Yeah, I think that he's probably about a mid-round pick, so maybe somewhere in that 4 to 5 range. I think could elevate if a team really loves him. Could fall if they prioritize some other players, but yeah, I think that's kind of just par for the course for him.
CJ Daniels working out at the combine. Listen, I loved him at Miami. Wide receiver is such a stacked position.
Yeah, always.
As we head to the NFL, I mean, there's just so many guys. I'm guessing maybe a day 3 guy, with some upside. I don't know. What are your thoughts there? I mean, I think he ran a 4.45 maybe, something like that. 6 feet, 195 pounds. So, listen, I thought he was a consummate player at Miami.
Yeah. I mean, good enough speed at 4.45, which is really key for him. I was thinking he needed to run south of 4.5 flat to really have, a good shot at being drafted. His major area for growth is creating separation versus man coverage, which is, if you remember all these leaping catches and things that he made at Miami, they're great, but he had to do them because the receivers are the defenders right there. So I think that's going to really be the thing that he'll have to work on. But yeah, I think that he could be a day 3 pick, and I think that he'll have to, work his way onto a roster or a practice squad. But the potential is there, and I do think that he'll get drafted.
All right. The last one is the guy that he didn't do all the drills, but he did the one that counted, and that's throwing, and that's Carson Beck. And I didn't watch the combine in real time, but I did go through a bunch of YouTube videos and whatever, and all I constantly heard was, wow, that's a great throw. Wow, look at that throw. And it's yeah, he's good.
Yeah, Carson Beck is good. I think that he's playing for his career as a backup. Honestly, he made some good throws for sure. Had some issues where the receivers weren't necessarily doing him any favors. The thing that really kind of stood out, and it's a thing that I've been saying, on the side with a couple of different friends of mine, his deep ball hangs. He doesn't have the same impetus to push the ball down the field that he did before the arm injury. And you saw that. Yeah. Now, I mean, you can time it up and make the throw, but it's not as crisp as you would necessarily like. So just lacking a little bit, especially when it gets to an air throw that's 30 or more, which is still a long throw. I mean, like, us regular non-mutants would struggle maybe a little bit to make those throws, but we're not talking about regular people. We're talking about the mutants. So yeah, I think that he's going to be very smart in his interviews. I think he's going to represent himself well and be a good culture fit and things like that, with enough talent to step into the game if needed down the line. And I think that that's kind of the profile of maybe a career backup. Does he get a couple starts? Maybe. I don't necessarily think that his ceiling is super duper high going to the NFL, Carson Beck. I am interested to see, I will be interested to see, especially after pro day in a couple of weeks, what the real consensus is for him. I have him as a day 3 guy right now. Maybe a day 2, which is now rounds 2 and 3, more in the 3rd round, just because the quarterback pool this year is dog water. But yeah, he did, in the drills that he did, Carson Beck did well for himself. I just don't know how high that will elevate him with everything being considered.
He didn't hurt himself. That's for sure. And I think there was enough of a spotlight, and we'll see what happens. There's going to be a pro day at Miami in a couple of weeks, so
yep.
We'll see what happens there. But listen, I'm rooting for him.
Absolutely.
To come back from that injury, to lead Miami to a national championship game, and now to try to make it at the next level, I'm rooting for the kid. All right, we will get out of here. We've got a lot to cover over the next couple of weeks as we lead to spring practice, which starts March 24th, I believe. So we will recap the recruiting weekend next week, and who knows what else. We're still waiting for another hire, so we've got that to get into, and who knows what else will happen. And to be honest with you, now we're getting into the March Madness time of the year, so we'll have to see what the basketball team does, and I don't want to talk about the baseball team and what they did in 2 games against Florida over the weekend, but please get some pitching help or something. Your head coach is a pitcher. Anyways, okay, I'm going to just quit while I'm ahead because, yeah, that. Go Canes. So we will get out of here, and we will see you next time right here on the Real Ones Canes podcast. Peace.